Click, click, boom. We are here, guys, for the Midnight Madness. It's happening, guys. March Midnight Madness. March Madness at midnight is actually what this segment is called. But we are here to ask you guys to ask us some questions, and we are going to get right into it. So the very first one, look at this. Brian, didn't I tell you they were going to get used to it, bro? They are jumping right into it. First round draft pick, quarterback, cornerback, or offensive lineman. What do you got there?
What would I do, or what would the team do? So I don't think they're going to go quarterback. I could see them taking one of the corners at 12, but I predict they're going to trade back and they can still get a quality cornerback or defensive end. I don't know that they'll go O-line just because there's, to me, in the draft, I don't see a lot of first round potentials. There's like 3 guys that I would say have first round, worthy. And so I think you can get O-line further back, but I also think they're going to address some of it in free agency. So
I am going to go out on a limb and say that this team makes 2 picks in the first round. And I think 2 of those 3 positions will be addressed.
They don't have a history of that or anything, right?
Yeah, it's not like the Niners make 2 first-round picks or anything like that. Exactly. So we know they get busy, and they've done more with less than 10 picks. So there's no reason to believe anything any different this season. I'm gonna do Nico Wilson. He technically was at 11:59, but it was in here. Would you be surprised if we don't take a quarterback in the draft? And I will say, yes, I would be surprised. Now, Brian, you're shaking your head no. So my answer is yes. Give me the no why you would not be surprised.
I won't be surprised because I think that they are. I think the team is set with Jimmy, and if they're going to get someone who's going to be a better backup, which is what it seems like they're looking for, I expect it to be someone who's already in the league, or Rosen, or they're just going to keep it status quo. I mean, I think that they go like they have in the last several years and just get a unrestricted free or undrafted free agent. A priority signing there like they did with Brock last year.
Okay. All right. This is a long one here from Michael Rizzo. He says, what do you think the offseason plan is? Cut Jimmy, trade second round next year for Darnold, re-sign Trent, 3 years, backloaded deal, re-sign Verrett, 2-year, 13.5, cut Richburg post June 1, sign Mack, trade back. Basically,
I don't think that they make Richburg a post June 1. I think if they're going to cut him, they're going to cut him before, and they will deal with the dead space this year instead of spreading it out. You moved the question, so I can't answer.
I'm sorry. I didn't know you were looking for more of it. I'm sorry.
I think that they will backload Trent's deal. I think Verrett gets longer than 2 years on his deal. And I don't think they're trading Jimmy, and they're not going to go get Darnold. That's just my opinion.
It's so funny because we disagree on so much of that. I do think Darnold is a viable option. I'm not sure what's going on with Trent. I feel like if there was a deal to be done with Trent, it would have been done already. And that's what's making me scared right now in this moment. They took away the ability to tag him. They gave him the guarantees. To me, it said we're going to get a deal done soon. That's how I felt. And then it was like, yeah, but we didn't. And now he's excited about free agency. I think they might have missed the
and like I said before, I think that they're going to he's going to go and see what his value is in the market. And then he's going to come back and say, okay, well, these teams who are not competitive can give me this. The 49ers will give me a little bit less, but I have a chance to get a ring. Then, he'll make that decision at that point. I think he'll come back to the team.
I think the team will have a decision on Richburg. They will do whatever costs them or makes them the most money with him, because I think other moves to adjust the available cap space will have to happen prior to June 1st anyway. So I do think they cut him whenever it's more advantageous to them. All right.
And the part you have to think about with that is if they do decide to do a post June 1, then they don't get that money until June 1st.
Right.
So they can't be utilized for free agency. I mean, you can use it for draft signings and stuff like that. But I would expect them to try to access that money sooner rather than later.
Exactly. Yeah, I like it, man. A lot of hype on Kellen Mond going in the first now, and I think we should get him. What do you think?
I saw Sims' report that had him, 3, I think, overall in Sims' book, which I think is reaching. But, I'm not wasn't a quarterback in the NFL, and I don't really grade guys that way because
Bro, reaching is an understatement. Kellen Mond is not a first-round quarterback.
he's like a fourth or fifth round guy.
So what happens is there's always someone that catches the league off guard. Daniel Jones, for example,
Sure.
right? The Giants take Daniel Jones at, what was he, 4 or something like that? Something crazy high, 6. And everyone was like, what the hell are the Giants doing? I don't remember where it was, but it was top 10, right? And it was like, what the hell are they doing? And there were other people there, and I can't believe they did. There were Giants fans that wanted Haskins, if I'm not mistaken, that draft. And they ended up with Daniel Jones, right? And so your job as a person who's going to cover the draft is to say, hey, I kind of did see this coming. And so you throw out all these crazy ass situations, right, and this is one of them.
We're going to take these 5 guys, and we're going to throw this one wild card in there just to say that,
yes,
it could happen.
Exactly. Kellen Mond is not a first-round draft pick. Even if there's a run, if 5 quarterbacks go in the first round, Kellen Mond is not among those 5. That's the way I mean,
you look at like the year that the Browns took Baker, they weren't initially supposed to take Baker. That wasn't what everybody was screaming. So,
right.
Even though he seemed like a good fit, but they ended up going with the guy they wanted. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Callie comes in here. He said, if you guys had to choose between bringing back Jay Reed, I believe he's talking about Jordan Reed,
yeah,
or signing Kyle Rudolph, who would you pick?
Bang for your buck, I think I go with Reed. Plus, he made some monster crazy catches last year, and I mean, Kyle Rudolph could be great, but in this system, but I don't know. I think his talents were all wasted while he was in Minnesota.
I'm going to agree with everything you said. Not just the crazy acrobatic catches. I mean, he had the one that was down by the shoelaces, but there was also plays that he did that were crazy athletic after the catch, tiptoeing down the sideline and things like that, and the diving and the catch in the back of the end zone. So I really, really like what I saw from Jordan Reed. I actually got excited for him when I watched him play. I wasn't excited at the signing because it was like, I know his history. But when we got him in the building, I was like, oh, give me more of that. You know what I'm saying? So I did like what I saw there. I'm sorry. Sloppy Dickens says, if they keep the status quo, then if we don't make the playoffs next year, damn, I thought that was a question because it started with
I would disagree with that. I would think that even if we don't make the playoffs next year, Lynch is good for at least one more season. And then to answer, there was somebody had a question or a statement about backloading contracts, and I think that gets misinterpreted depending on how you backload the contracts. As long as there's no guaranteed money at the back end, you're only stuck dealing with the signing bonus, whatever the prorated portion of that is. So it doesn't necessarily screw you to backload contracts, or it doesn't haunt you.
Yeah. Niner Goat 16 says or asks, doesn't a great defensive line mask a lot of issues in the secondary? What about D linemen in the first?
Absolutely, it does, and that's what we've talked about that during the season. Just because we were even before the season when we were talking about the situation of our secondary, we talked about how much our defensive line was able to mask that because they put so much pressure on the quarterback. But given who we have currently, I mean, unless you're going to find a speedy defensive end, I don't think there's anyone else in the first that you would want. You're not going to go get Barmore, even though he might be a badass. You already got Kinlaw, and you got Armstead who can work inside. So I think defensive end, if they're going to do anything in the line, that'll be there. And there's only like 3 guys, to pick from, and you can trade back probably and get at least one of them.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you just said there. But to answer Niner Goat's question directly, absolutely a good defensive line makes your secondary better. And I do think that the Niners could be looking at a defensive lineman, an edge guy in particular, in the first round. This next question here is going to be from John V, and it's directly to you, man. Brian, is it possible Parag uses a tool similar to the tool you use to extend and backload?
I'm sure whatever tools that Parag's got are probably a lot more sophisticated than the over-the-caps simulator that I use. And that it would enable him to allow him to put a lot more caveats in there than what you can. If you go to OTC and do it yourself, you're only allowed to put in signing bonuses, how many years, and then your annual salaries with workout bonus and roster bonus, and that is it. You can't touch any or other sort of incentives or anything like that. So any tools that Prog's got far supersede what I have access to.
Yeah, and not only that, Parag, like you were insinuating, gets to create the language. These simulators, they go around, they look at thousands of contracts and take the common language from them and allow you to work within that spectrum.
Right.
These guys who get to actually write the contracts can say every 100 yards is $10,000. They get to put those fine details in there. So what Parag has is eons ahead of what Brian used. Alex says, are the 49ers even able to sign Williams? Talking about the tackle, Trent Williams. And this is what I was talking about with Tony the other night. Well, not just Tony, but on the show. There is not a single player. When I say single, I mean that one guy. There is not a single player the 49ers could target and not be able to afford with that $20 million in cap space. That's and I mean that. There is not I don't care if they're a quarterback. I don't care if they're a pass rusher, corner. The Niners can afford any single player they want right now with the cap as the way it is. Brian, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, they can definitely bring him back. And like I was saying the other night, you could probably get him in here for a year one cap hit of only like 8 million, 7 change. His annual would still be 20 million a year, but the cap hit for next season could be that low. You can get it that way if you work the numbers right.
Yeah, I agree. Vernon Freeman asked one that has not much to do with the Niners, but it's a good question here. What is the go-to energy booster for you to run this show every night at midnight for this month? Love NBN. I'll go first here, and it's just a passion. I like trying different things. I can be dead tired, but 15 minutes is not long. In fact, we have less than 3 minutes left in the show already, and I feel like we just started. So it's just passion. Passion is what drives me. Passion is what drives nothing but Niners. That's why we've been going for 4+ years, and we're going to keep on rocking out over here. So, Brian, what are your thoughts on that? Because you are
same for me. I got I was lucky enough to get involved with the Nothing But Niners crew by initially writing, and then my passion there was allowed me to have access to come on here and share my thoughts. So that's the big push, but it also helps that I'm on the West Coast, so it's only 9:00 for me. It's not midnight.
And that is a very positive when we're doing midnight shows. Here, Nico Wilson says, what are your thoughts on Rosen anyway? Do you think he's a diamond in the rough? I think he's better than any quarterback in the draft besides Lawrence.
Okay, well, the last part of that's a pretty strong statement since we really haven't seen much of him since he's been in the NFL. He got a year in Arizona, and that wasn't even the full season, right? He didn't start that season. So he got games there, and then I just think that he's been a product of being shuffled through the league. So I'm excited to see what he can bring, especially in this system. But I don't know, and I would not say that he's better than any of the quarterbacks in this draft besides Lawrence, just because we haven't seen him truly play in 2.5 years.
Yeah. A lot of times people like to say, if this guy was coming out this year, would he be better than XYZ? I've heard it this year with Kinlaw. If Kinlaw was a defensive tackle coming out in this draft, he would be a top 10 pick. Like, I've heard that multiple times already. I'm one of few people who are not as high on Rosen as most people are. And it's not that I've seen something that deters me. It's that I haven't seen anything that wows me. So it's quite the opposite. I can't speak on how good he is, but I do think I am more excited about more people in this draft than I am Josh Rosen. John V says backloading can haunt you later. No. And let me go first here. I think it can. Damn, we got like 30
That was
seconds.
the question. You can go to the next one. I addressed that one while you were talking to Niner.
All right, yeah. So it is something that could get you, but you just got to do it the right way, especially if it's a young guy.
You got 30 seconds.
I know. I'm trying to find one. Here we go. All right. Do you have faith in the team to pull the big moves? Go.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to say yes because not only do I think they can do it, we have seen the team make the big moves. We might not remember the names right now because we're in this, the Niners need to make more moves, but they have done and will make the big moves. And that's it. We're out.
And it may not be something that we want to